Welcome to what will be the last guide in the Idiot's Guide to Modding F1 2020 by myself. That's Rickadin, aka RM the Welshman. And today we're going to be doing the car livery and also the vehicle numbers for in-game. And I'll tell you how to find them and how to load them. Now, I mentioned in the very first video, the video that described the tools that we would need to do all of this modding. And I'm going to use one of those today, which is the 3D model for the F1 2020 game for the vehicles. You can find it on racedept.com. It's made by a guy called Jay Buren. It's been really useful. It kind of helps you in the same way as the helmet design. You can adjust in real time and see how it fits on the car. So I'm going to load straight in. So I've already got loaded to here. I've got loaded in the livery itself, the 3D model. So this is the 3D model of how the car looks. This is then the actual paint job from it. So to load this, if we close this, to load this from here, you'll see, like the helmet design, we've got a few base layers here. Now we can ignore number. Number doesn't do anything in this context right here. But we are going to load this. Now you'll notice it's very messy. Even when I put the overlays on it, it's very messy in trying to understand what is going on. So I'm going to break things down piece by piece. What I'm going to do that is I'm going to zoom in a little bit and take off the overlays. So you'll see here down this side where you've got a handily drawn line. It's almost like I've tried to do this a little bit earlier on before Photoshop crashed. But here is the main monocoque around the driver and the front of the car, all the way down to the nose cone. So if we get the overlays on, so this whole area here, so around here and all the way up and around in here, so ignore the bits in the middle, this is the front of your car. So this correlates to this bit right here, right up to here. It does not correlate to the halo. So that's the main first part of your car. The next main body part that we've got is we've got the sides of your car and the rear of your car. So this is the side pods, and all of this construction here in fact, I'm going to get a different color for this. Let's go something a little bit brighter that stands out. So this is the left, let's try that again, is the left side of your car. This is then the upper fin, so this is the top of the engine cover. So we're just going to put LT there. You've then also got the right top of the engine cover pointing the opposite way, and the right side of the car. And that side is all of this. So it's this part here, this part, and this part. So if we go back into here, you can see now there's all writing all over the car. You've got the left side. You've then got the part at the back is this part here, and the part at the front of it is this part inside here. So it's all one part. And then you've got the top of the engine cover, so it only goes up so far, and the same on the opposite side. So those are that's the main body of your car right there. So you've then also got this area here. So you've got here is the right hand side of the engine cover, but behind the driver. This is the left hand side. So if we go back into the 3D model, you can see it there now with the writing, is this area right here. So it's this area that's covered in black and the area around the driver here. So that's those two parts there. You've then also got in amongst here, you've got, this is the driver insert, the part that the drivers take out when they get out of the car that sits round their body. And you've got this is the halo. and that is the halo facing forwards. So if I take off the UV overlays for a minute, in fact, if we paint on the topmost layer, it'll let me paint. Let's try again. There we go. So this is the halo, and it points forwards. This is the insert around the driver. So if we go back into the 3D model, you've got the insert here, and obviously the halo. Everyone knows what that is. So those are those two parts there. Now then, what else do we have here? Let's pop the overlays back on. So all this section here, this section in here, this is your rear wing. So these are the sides of your rear wing. That's your rear wing. This is the top, and so the front and back of your main rear wing. And then this here, this section here, is your DRS flap for your rear wing. So it's all kind of spread out. These, I've not quite figured out what they are, but seeing as they're with the rear wing, I'm going to presume that they're parts of the rear wing uprights. They're coloured in black on mine for that purpose. So that's that. So that's the entire construction of the rear wing here. Now we've got another few bits and pieces that stick out as well. So as you can see, turn off my overlays again. We've got two pieces here with Equinox written on them. Now, I don't know why F1's done this for the game, but these, that, and that are the end plates for your front wing in completely different places. You've then got, there are 5 elements to the front wing. So if we go back into the car itself, so if I tilt it like this, you can see there are 5 strakes to the front wing. And those 5 strakes are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the only ones that are easy to find are these, which are in pairs. So that is the makeup of your front wing. You've also then got the center of the front wing, which is this piece here. So if we remove my UV overlays, you can see here I've got Mercedes AMG livery attached to it. And you can see the Mercedes AMG livery right here. That is the front part of your front wing, the center part of your front wing. So that is where it is here, is all the way up here. You've then also got, let's have a look what else we've got. So we've got various different pieces. So all these little red pieces, these here, so these are the lower outer barge boards. These are the upper barge boards on the side of the car, the winglets. So here you can see them here. Here's the front piece. Here's the other piece. And same again here. There. You've then also got, in amongst all of this, you have this piece, and when I can find it, this piece, which are the upper inserts. Now you'll notice here, on my design here, I've got a little area that's not coloured in. Now the reason for that is a bit of colour matching, because this area is a little bit of a complex area, and this area, I'm going to zoom in for this, this area correlates to this area here. So the part that I've just showed you is this part here, and actually it runs to there. So the shape is actually all the way along here and all the way along here, but not all the way to the driver's car. So it stops there, but it has this section here, and that's why that little section is still black, is because it's that there. That's the color match. And that's the same on both sides. Now, you've also got, as I found out with a little bit of tinkering, you have these little parts here, these little L-shaped parts. And again, if I take off the UV overlays, you'll see there's a little section here that is black with a gold stripe, and then the other one, which is here, which again is black with a gold stripe on the end, and that correlates to this little insert here, this little strange piece here. Because I was designing the car and I could not figure out why that part would not change, and it was that little piece, the very last piece that I coloured in, and it's very, very confusing. And you might need to tinker around with the colour matching there. Now you can see on mine, obviously you can't see where I've just coloured it all pink, but if I swap it to the other side, you can see with the line here doesn't exactly match up, and that's just because it's just a case of tinkering around with it, and this here doesn't quite match up, but in game it looks fine. That's that area there. You've then also got, so we have here, which is the underside of the front of the nose cone, here, which are parts of your wing mirrors, these fishtail looking things, there's two of them, there's one there and there's one here, are the outer cover, the front cover of your wing mirrors. This and this, which is the, again, is the outer cover of your wing mirrors, but the very outside, so pointing at 90 degrees to the car on each side. That's your wing mirrors. You've got this and this, which again, they match the pair of things over here. They're the top and bottom covers for your wing mirror. And then you've got the main body of the wing mirrors, which are here, which part of them are black. So if we go back in, you'll see how all this correlates, because that's a lot of parts for a very small thing. So the fishtail part is the wraparound in here. You've then got the one piece which covers this. You've then got two sets of the L-shaped things are the uprights, one each side, and one is the wraparound here. So the upright, the wraparound, and all this. You've then got the main body, which is this thing here. And that's why I've got an end, because that piece there is covered by that. You've also then got smaller parts, which are up here. So you've got these two here. These two here are the inner surface of the wing mirror, tucked away in here. Now I've coloured mine black because you can't really see them, but you can colour them the same colour if you want. That's all the parts for the wing mirrors. A lot of parts for something very, very, very small. We've then also got, in amongst all this, so we've got all these, which are suspension components, which you can't really see, if I'm honest, but they are the suspension mounting points you can see on the side of the car here. Of note, I've coloured these white. It doesn't make a difference as to the suspension components. They will always be carbon fibre black. They just stand out from the side of the car. So just bear that in mind when you're designing. You've then also got these little red pieces, which are then the center parts, these, for the inside of your air intake into your side pods. And then you have two of these. One is here, and one is, if memory serves me right, up here somewhere. No, it doesn't. Here. So these are the end of the halo that goes into the A-frame of the car. You've again got here, this is the base of your A-frame, of your halo. You've got your radio antennas here, and various different little tiny add-ons and tiny details that you can tinker with. These are, if we go back to the car, so they correlate again to pieces inside all of this. So those parts may need a bit of color matching as you tinker with them. You'll see here where there's a little black area here, and that's just clipping and things like that. We'll spin around to the back, so I'll show you as well. As I said, you've got the main part of the wing. Zoom back out a bit. If we spin around, so you've got the two components of the wing. You've got the sides, and I think now seeing it, the 5 random things I was mentioning earlier on that I didn't know what they are the little wing things here. So these things here attach to the bottom of the wing. They're the color coding for that. So let me just have a quick scan over. Is that everything that we've covered on there? Again, there's a few other bits and pieces that correlate to cosmetic stuff. This, I've coloured it in black here. I actually need to change it, or consider changing it. Is, I think, the center point of the halo. I need to tinker with that to be 100% certain, but I've coloured it black, and it's the only part of my halo that's black. So I think these two here are the wraparound for that. So I might consider changing that a little bit, but it doesn't look actually that bad on my setup. But that is, in a nutshell, what each of these things does in terms of the design of your car. As I say, it's very, very complicated because of the way that this is set up. Because if you look at this as a first-time person that I did, and this was the first thing I designed, it blew my tiny little mind. So that is what each part correlates to. What we're then going to do, so once you've finished that, you're then going to save it straight from this. So you save your design, you save it into wherever you want to save it. We're not going to save it because we've already got that made up, and we're going to get rid of that for the moment. So this is what I meant about the little black part of the halo. So what we're then going to do is we're going to go into our FOA, into our archiver. We're going to go all the way back up to our main folder, and we're going to go into our asset groups. We're going to go into F1 2020 vehicle package. We're going to go into teams. We're going to go into FOM car. Now we will also be going into these as well in a moment, but we're going to go into our FOM car for now. Now we're going to leave it there at the moment, because we're now going to talk, before we start loading things, we're going to talk about numbers. So if you want to use a number that's in the game, so you can see here the number 1, it is a different color to everything else. That's because I've changed that. If you want to use a number in the game that's already there, what is one of the annoying things in the game is if you have a black car, for some reason on this year's game, your custom numbers will always be the same color. So you won't have white numbers, they'll always be black. And that was a little bit annoying for me with a car that's a black team. So I exported these out. So if you want to use numbers in here, it's quite simple. You just export it in the same way we have been doing. It will come with a redundancy around it. And simply all you do is in Photoshop or whatever you want to use, you then color these differently and import it back in, making sure that when you save it as the DDS file, and you select color and alpha. The reason for that is it will keep this as a completely transparent layer, so it'll only assign the number, and it will do that on the wings. So if on the engine cover, not sure whether you can see it, but you can see here on mine, you can see the number in there, you can still see the detail behind it, and you can just see the little tip of the number 1 there, but with all the detail there. So that is how you take a number from in-game. If you want to use a custom number or a custom design for your number, you can go online and do it. Again, go into I'll use Photoshop because that's what I'm using. Go into Photoshop, you select your part, so you select your entire part, you clip it out from whatever background is there, and you just isolate that number, and again you'd save it as color and alpha, so you'd have your custom number and nothing behind it, your transparency, and it will load in the same way. Then what you do is you come into this FOM car, so you go into the asset groups, vehicle package, teams, FOM car, WEP, FOM car, and here you are. You find your number file that you want to upload and you upload it. So I've uploaded the number 1. I've uploaded the number 32, which is my normal race number, my non-championship winning race number, and I've uploaded the number 4, and that's because my teammate in my team at the moment is Lando Norris. So I've got the number 4 on there as well. Now you can do that with all the numbers that you want. That's how you load custom numbers. The liveries, you then come down to, so we're going to use the F170 car. So this is the 70th anniversary car again. And what we're going to do is we also want this. So similar to when we did the helmet design, the easiest way to get yourself this texture so you can change the colors is when you're in, I'm going to have to open it back up. That was forward planning by closing it. Let's get Photoshop back on the go. When you have done your image, your texture file, you then, from that, let's get this back going. From that, you then, from this, so we'll get rid of the UV overlays, you copy it all. So for example, Control and A, copy, and then File, New, Clipboard, because it keeps the same pixel ratio, so it's the same size, paste. I've got exactly the same. Now the thing I won't have here is I won't have UV overlays. But what I do want is, so I've got this stripe around here, which I want to be gold metallic. I then color these individual parts, and I can do them as block colors. So I can color the black in one color just by using Paint Pot and coloring it in that way. I can use various different bits and pieces to do that, and you'll see as well there's various different colors around here which are redundancies, which they're not actually parts of the car, they're parts of the old design. They don't need to be tinkered with, and I haven't. But that's how you do that. Now, I've got white here on the car, and I've got white stripes, and I have tinkered a few times. So when in a moment, I'll show you the different, what the different color groups mean to the paint itself and the different styles that I've tinkered with. However, what you need to do is you then color in your various bits and pieces how you want to, and let's get the one I'm actually using. So let's go to, I'm using the no Chrome livery. So you'll see that all of this is green, because if you remember from the helmet tutorial, that means that it's standard gloss paint. And then you've got the gold stripe parts are colored in pink. That's because I want them to be metallic gold. And again, I've left parts of the dragon pattern where I want a different finish. I want the game to just render what it wants to. Red is something closer to a matte finish because red, orange is matte. I've also got, you'll notice from those files, go back into the same one, I've also got ones where I've tinkered, where I've colored it orange, and I've done the sponsors in Chrome, where I tinkered with that. You can do that as well if you want to. That's just something you just go and have a play around with. And I also did a different version where I had a lot more chrome. So everything that was white on the car was chromed. And whilst that was nice, it was quite a clean finish. It didn't really go with what I wanted, what the colors I wanted to be. So quite a lot of the car was plain, and then you had these random gold bits. When you've got a black colored car with silver highlights, it just does look like a bit of a knockoff Mercedes. So I didn't end up going with that in the end. So this, albeit the simplest one, you'll notice I've taken all the sponsors off because I just want them to be the same finish. So that is our SFC, our Sierra file that we've now got. Now what we want to do, we ignore the mic file as we did before. You load your texture file into the livery, the F170 livery that I've used, and you load this into here as well. And then you save it. So we've loaded the 3 numbers and we've loaded those 2. Now what we have to do is we have to go into these 4 files. Now you don't have to do all 4. You can get away with just doing the file for whichever engine you're using in your career mode. But if you plan to change around and you forget that you haven't loaded them into all of them, you're going to cause issues in the game. So it's always helpful to do all of them. So we're going to go in to the My Team Mercedes, and again here we've got the driver numbers in exactly the same way, and we've got the F170 liveries as well. Load all your numbers, load your liveries, save it in exactly the same way, and then open again. And repeat for the Ferrari, the Honda, and the Renault teams. Now, obviously, if you're using Renault, you can get away with just doing Renault. You don't have to load them all. My advice is just do it anyway, because you will forget how to do this. I've had to load these and unload these a few times, various different times for various different reasons, just to get the game working properly. Even then, I'm trying to work out where I've loaded all these different files to, because by this point we've loaded a total of about 60 custom files to the game just to get this far. My advice is to load them into all of those, because if it means the game runs smoother, if it means that you don't have to worry about then changing everything when you change engines or forgetting about it, it's done. Once it's done, it's done. And that's then your custom livery loaded into game. So we're going to close that. We're not going to save it. We're going to then flick back into game. Now, we're going to come back out. So we are on the main menu. Again, I'm in windowed mode just so I can easily show you and flick between. Right on cue, the game crashes. So what we're going to do, we'll close it. Let's close that. Get rid of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the games and we're going to try that again and see if this time it wants to behave. So as I was saying, what I was going to show you is how then that looks, how you then select that in game. So as it's loading, similar to the helmet design, you simply go and find the relevant livery in game. And once you've found the relevant livery in game, it's a simple, straightforward, just loading it and going from there. Once you've done that, that's it. Your livery is in game. It's ready to be used. So as we load, we wait for the loading screen to pop in. So as you then select that, that is then your team complete. So we've done everything from race suits, we've done customization. So we go into the liveries. You'll see here that I've already got it selected. Let's delete that one. So simply, all we have to do is edit. You'd go into your liveries, and then you'll find whatever livery you're using. In this case, mine is the 70s edition, and there it is in game. Now you'll notice at the moment that the numbers are different because they're number 88. Now the reason for that is similar to when we played with the gloves earlier on, is because my main character won't be selected as the multiplayer and solo. Now if we go into the car livery, you'll see that he's got the number 32 as actual driver race number, and you'll see the custom number is in there, and you see what I was saying earlier on, where it's transparent, it applies it straight to the top of the bodywork. And that is how the car looks. You'll notice all the custom stuff that I was talking about earlier on. You'll notice as well in terms of various bits and pieces. If we then zoom up, so you've noticed I've put in such detail where I've written around the top of the halo. I've put just underneath the driver cockpit on what is now the right hand side a little tribute to my racing hero, which is Colin McRae, in there, and you can tinker with it. Again, I've used a lot of the sponsors. What is key is all of the sponsors on here, you'll notice they're in different places from the actual car. So if I go across to one that is not a custom car, the game recognizes only a few places you can put sponsors in the game. So things like front wings, end plates, 2 on the nose cone, 1 on the halo. This is completely different. This won't now match the sponsors you've got in game. Now the sponsors I am using in game, my main title sponsor is Highland. I've got various different sponsors. Sudo is a sponsor I've got, but you have to remember that this won't change as you change your sponsor. So if you want a bit of immersion and realism, then what you'll have to do is you'll have to go back out and change them. And if you remember to do what I was talking about when we were talking about editing the uniforms, to then create a layer over the top of all of this, put your sponsor where your current sponsor is, and then click back over to your base layer and paint over it, then you can line them up exactly the same, and it's a straight swap. It's a clean straight swap. And that is how the car looks sat in the menu, which for first attempt I'll take. You can see as well, I'll just mention it, the little gold highlights around the cockpit, where that is a very different finish to everything else. The just plain coloration. You can also see the way the different colors around the dragon fins also catch the light in the menu. Now I will do a very short video where I'll do a race and I'll go in so you can see all of this in action. So everything from the pit crews, the pit crew helmets, the race wear, how this car looks when it's racing, Lando's car as well, so you can see the changes that apply to the other car. And you can also see one thing that you won't have seen within when I was talking about the matrix for this is the A-frame winglet, because you can't change that in the game. You can't do anything with that in the game because the second drivers is always coded to be bright yellow. So you'll see various little details like that, and I'll go through a race and pause it and show you exactly what I mean by that. So that right there is start to finish how to change a team into a custom team for my team in F1 2020. I will be doing a little bit of tinkering around with things like pit boards and things like that for finer detail. It may be in future videos, but hopefully these series of videos, as boring as I sound, have helped even someone not waste quite so much time as I have in the last 3, 4, 5 days trying to play around with this as just an amateur idiot finding my own way. That is it from me until I do obviously the video to show exactly what this then means in game. But for now, I bid you farewell, and until the next time, goodbye.